A short story by Paul McCann. Bobo has a barbecue. It's a long way from Belfast City to the place where the Brumbies roam. Things were much different for Bobo and Charlie, and they were enjoying their first holiday in Australia. Bobo and Charlie were very grateful for Charlie's cousin Dano for everything he had done, as his job as a diesel fitter kept him busy during the week, which only allowed the weekends to have outings. Bobo was sitting at the table looking through some of the magazines while morning was fastly disappearing. Charlie was washing up the breakfast dishes, humming away to himself. "Has it got words?" Bobo asked. Charlie stopped washing up and said, "What do you mean, Bobo?" Bobo smiled and he replied, "Your wee tune, Charlie." Charlie lifted up his chest, had a happy smirk on his face, and he said, "No, Bobo, it's only a wee thing that's in my head, you know. It's the same like as when you're walking down the street whistling to yourself." Bobo continued, "You know, Charlie, what I think you should maybe give it some words. It's a catchy wee tune. Good wee number, Charlie." Charlie went over and sat down beside Bobo at the table and he said, "I don't think I could do that. It's only a wee tune and I'm not really good with words." "I like it anyway," Bobo said as he turned the pages of the magazine. "Thanks, Bobo. I must have heard it on the radio or something, as it's in my head and I can't get it out." Bobo tried not to laugh and he said, "You know what I'm thinking? Maybe you should enter that show on TV, Australian Idol, or the X Factor, Charlie. You could hum them one of your wee tunes." For a few moments Charlie was considering what Bobo had said, and he replied, "I'd be too nervous to get up there in front of those people. I'd probably forget the tune, and it's best to probably forget about that one, Bobo." Bobo almost burst out laughing, but he composed himself and said, "See your cousin Dano. He's a champion, Charlie." Charlie nodded and he said, "He's brilliant for letting us stay here and all. It's a pity he's so busy at work. Wonder what diesel fitters do, Bobo." Bobo smiled and he said, "They work on production line with women's jeans, Charlie, sorting out the different sizes." "How does he do that?" Charlie asked, and Bobo put his hands out in front of him and he said, "He picks up a jeans one after one and he says, 'Diesel fitter,' and then he puts them into a box for wrapping." Charlie looked impressed and he said, "But how does he know they'll fitter, Bobo?" Bobo was trying hard to keep a straight face and he replied, "Because that's his job, Charlie. He's a diesel fitter." Charlie stood up and he said, "That's our Donald, a true professional. I wish I could do that." Bobo looked at Charlie with an expression of disbelief and he said, "Sit down, will you, Charlie? I want to run something past you." Charlie sat down and said, "Fire away, Bobo." With a serious look on his face, Bobo said, "Well, the thing is, Charlie, I'm thinking maybe we should do something to thank Donald for all the trouble he's gone to making us feel at home here." Charlie nodded his approval and he replied, "That's a cracker of an idea. What can we do, Bobo?" Bobo opened up the magazine and showed Charlie a picture and he said, "In this magazine, it talks about how Aussies love barbecues, Charlie. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a surprise barbecue for Dono and have everything ready for Dono when he gets home from work tonight." Charlie was excited and he replied, "Okay, let's go then. No problem. A barbecue for Dono it is. So how do we do the barbecue, Bobo?" Bobo looked through the magazine and he replied, "There's a lot of helpful hints in here, like a list of things we need to buy to have a successful barbecue." Charlie replied, "Okay, Bobo, that's what we need. That sounds like we have it all under control." Bobo wrote a few things on a list. Before he stood up, he took out his wallet and counted out over $200. And then he said, "Well, first I'll make sure that outside that barbecue's clean and ready to go. And you'll be doing the same, Charlie. Put on some clean clothes. Charlie, get yourself ready to go. Now we'll head off to the shops to buy some things we need." Charlie said, "Okay, I'll be right there." And he raced off to the bedroom while Bobo checked out the barbecue. To his surprise, it was spotlessly clean, like it had never been used before. He turned on the gas and he lit up all of the burners. Everything seemed to be working perfectly. You could hear Charlie's frantic call from inside, "Bobo, where are you? I'm ready to go." Bobo turned off the gas and went back inside the house. "Let's go, Charlie," said Bobo, but Charlie never heard him because he seemed to be talking to himself. So Bobo stood back and watched Charlie as he was rehearsing what seemed to be a debut performance on television. He was saying, "Thank you for inviting me on Australian Idol. My name is Charlie. Tonight I'm going to perform a tune that I made especially for you called the Diesel Fitting Blues." Humming away to himself, Charlie was in another world until Bobo emerged with 3 shopping bags in his hands, saying, "Just as well you got a sympathetic audience. The tune needs a bit of work and still could use some words, Charlie. Now come on, hurry up, we haven't got any time to lose. The bus is leaving in 5 minutes, so say goodbye to your audience and let's go." Bobo walked out the front door with Charlie rushing to keep up. As they made their way down the street to the bus stop, Charlie started hopping like a kangaroo, trying to keep up with Bobo. Bobo stopped and gave Charlie a stern look and he said, "Charlie, you're starting to attract some attention. You'll have to forget that hopping and walk like a normal person. You'll have us arrested." Charlie smiled, and then the smile ran away from his face. "I'm sorry, Bobo. I'm just trying to fit in and look like one of the locals." Bobo smiled. "It's okay, Charlie. Don't let it worry you. See, some people don't know we're on holidays. They might not understand why a big lug like you could be hopping down like a kangaroo all the way down the street." "I suppose you're right, Bobo." They just got to the bus stop in time as the bus pulled in. They paid their fare and took a seat, and the bus driver, he seemed to be in a hurry through the heavy traffic. Every now and then the bus driver would murmur and say something under his breath in a strange language. 20 minutes later the bus pulled up at the shopping centre and Charlie and Bobo got off. The bus driver was murmuring away still. Charlie looked at the driver and he said, "Have you got a tune for it?" The bus driver looked a bit puzzled and he said, "What are you talking about?" Charlie replied, "Your words. Maybe it needs a tune to go with them." Bobo shook his head and he looked up. "Come on, Charlie, we've no time to talk." The bus driver looked a bit mad and started shouting. "What's wrong with him, Bobo?" Charlie asked. Bobo replied, "Oh, he's having problems with the bus today. Come on, let's go." They went to the butcher's, the baker's, then a liquor store, and Bobo decided to take a taxi back because the next bus was an hour's wait. It was a strange ride in the taxi, with the driver talking in broken English, all about the end of the world and how science and religion can never agree. Bobo and Charlie just sat in the back of the taxi and listened. The taxi left them at the front door of the house, and Bobo paid the fare. And as the taxi sped away, Charlie looked at Bobo and he said, "Do you think he's got a problem with the car?" Bobo smiled and he said, "That's a good call, Charlie. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Now, let's get this barbecue started." Bobo opened up a magazine and began to check through the list of things that they had bought from the shopping bags. He took out citronella candles, personal fly and mosquito repellent, zinc cream, barbecue, meat, beer, fruit and veggies, an SK and party ice. And then he looked at Charlie and he said, "I think nearly that's everything, Charlie. So we better get the barbecue started." He handed Charlie some onions that had to be chopped up, as well as some tomatoes and lettuce. Then he went outside and took the lid of the barbecue. When he came back inside, Bobo couldn't believe what he saw. He took the knife from Charlie and he said, "You need to remove the outer layer from the onions first, before you chop it up, Charlie. And also you have to wash the lettuce and tomato underneath the water tap." "Oh, Bobo, you know Donald's going to be so impressed when he gets home." Bobo handed back the knife to Charlie. "You know what, Charlie? You're not going to believe it. I forgot to get the barbecue sauce. And the bus is coming in 5 minutes. Listen, put the meat on for me and the barbecue's ready to go. I won't be long. See you soon." Charlie nodded. "No problem," and started humming away as Bobo ran to catch the bus. Charlie put the steak and the sausage on the plate and he went outside and put them on the grill of the barbecue. And he returned inside to cut up the tomatoes. When Bobo returned, Charlie was still humming away his favourite tune. And he saw Bobo It's all good, Bubbo. The meat's on the barbecue. Everything's all chopped up, ready to go. Bubbo went outside to check how the meat was doing. The meat was still sitting on top of the grill, but the burners weren't lit, and the meat was still raw red. He came back inside, and he went over to Charlie, and he said, "So you just put the meat on the barbecue then?" Charlie proudly replies, "I sure did, Bubbo." Bubbo brought Charlie outside, and he pointed to the barbecue and the meat, and he said, "Charlie, do you realise barbecues have a gas bottle and that you might have to light the gas to cook the meat?" Charlie looked up at the bright sun in the sky, and then he looked at the meat on the barbecue. He touched the grill and the hot plate and the cooktop, and then he said, "Like it's so hot here in Australia, I thought maybe barbecues meant, the sun cooked the meat. I didn't know it had gas. I needed gas. I'm sorry, Bubbo." Bubbo was speechless. He lifted the box of matches from the barbecue and turned the knob and lit all of the burners and said, "See, it's as easy as that, Charlie. The sun is not required." "Aren't barbecues fun, Bubbo? We should do this again soon." As the meat started cooking, some uninvited guests arrived. Flies began to hover around the barbecue. Bubbo tried to swipe them away without success. "Charlie, can you bring out that insect spray and the citronella candles for me?" So Charlie went inside, and he returned a few minutes later with a few of the candles and the insect repellent. He handed them over to Bubbo, and he said, "So are we going to cook with the candles now, Bubbo?" "What are you talking about, Charlie?" "It's so, just like all the flames and the burners have gone out." Bubbo looked and saw Charlie was right. "That's a great, unbelievable. Now the gas is run out. Come on, Charlie. We got to get it refilled. Just as well you saw that." Charlie smiled again, and he said confidently, "See, so I done something good, Bubbo." "Yeah, you done something good, Charlie. Now, we'll have to ring a taxi. Time's ticking away." The taxi arrived, and the driver took them to the gas refill and swap store outlet, where they exchanged the empty gas bottle for a new one. Within 10 minutes, they were back home again and were soon cooking with gas. It wasn't long before the steak and the sausages were sizzling hot. Charlie watched as Bubbo put the party ice into the esky and then the beers into the ice. Charlie was a little bit confused, and he looked at Bubbo and he said, "Bubbo, tell me, why don't you just, use a fridge?" "Well, the thing is, Charlie, I've done a bit of research, and I've learned that in Australia here, people drink their beer cold. And in Australia, they bring their beer in an esky with ice to keep it cold. So when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do." The meat was cooked and the beer was cold, and Donald arrived home. It was such a surprise for him to see everything done in an Aussie style. He walked around checking the meat, and he grabbed a beer from the esky and he sat down. And he said, "Good on you, boys. I was wondering if a barbecue would work. Pick it up, mate, and you did the right thing, mate. This old barbecue of mine I bought in a carriage sale just before you arrived. Did you any trouble getting it fired up, mate?" Bubba and Charlie looked at each other and nodded. Charlie said, "Nah, it's dead easy, cuz easy as like turning on a light switch." The end.